Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Light, and today we are going to be continuing my coin review series. And the project of the day is called Kaspa, which was launched back in November 21. Kaspa is a proof of work cryptocurrency that also has implemented a Ghost DAG protocol, which is a DAG variant. DAG standing for directed acyclic graph, which are not blockchains, as blockchains have blocks. DAGs tend to have nodes and edges. So when transactions are being done on DAG, they are recorded as nodes instead of blocks. And there are certain characteristics that usually come out with these DAG-based cryptos, such as like MIOTA and Nano. They tend to be very fast, and also they tend to have feeless transactions, but that is not the case with Kaspa. Yes, Kaspa is very fast, but it does have small gas fees when you are sending transactions on Kaspa, which is actually a really good thing given the fact that there's a lot of spam transactions on MIOTA and Nano because it's basically feeless to basically do these malicious activities on the chain. So in a lot of ways, this is actually a one way to combat spam style activity and any forms of congestion on the chain by having this sort of a fee-based system. Unlike other DAG projects, Kaspa went through a fair launch. There was no sale, no airdrop or distribution of tokens to the team or the researchers or the investors. It was originally envisioned by an R&D company known as DAG Labs, which got an investment through a crypto venture capital firm known as Polychain. It was founded by Jonathan Samplonsky, who has a postdoc at Harvard University, and I also understand that there's some other students from Harvard who are working on this project. However, there is no central governance or business model built around Kaspa. It's meant to basically be truly a decentralized project. Next up, we're going to be talking about the tokenomics of Kaspa. So this project has a max supply of 28.7 billion Kaspa, which out of already over 21 billion have been mined out in less than 2 years, meaning almost 75% of the whole supply is already circulating. And this is due to having a very, very aggressive monthly reduction on the emissions of the block rewards. So basically, Kaspa will go through a halving every single year. And there's some other projects like Cadena and Monero and some others which have much more faster emission on the block rewards. But the thing is that these types of projects highly reward people who get in early and start mining. So people like the VCs and the developers and everybody who basically got the insider information about these types of projects, which is problematic because even if you would get started on Bitcoin or Litecoin after the first halving, you would still get 50% or what the previous people made on the first halving. In the case of Kaspa, people made 500 Kaspa per block reward for the first 6 months, and then the emissions started. Now, if you would start out mining today, you would only get 164 Kaspa per block reward. So basically, we're talking about almost 4 times less of a reward than people than less than 2 years ago were getting. So that is crazy. In my opinion, that is kind of like for people who are for like a very, very fast cash grab because they want to make the halving process much faster. So I'm not generally very favor of this idea. My second critique of the tokenomics is that there is no dev allocation from the mined blocks. There's no treasury and there's no DAO whatsoever for this project. Where exactly is the funding going to come from for the dApps and the things which can be built after they roll out the smart contracts capabilities for the chain? There's no single business in the world that has been solely funded by donations for long term. There's no single project in crypto space which has managed to basically do that. It's just not sustainable for the long term. That is why Bitcoin Cash went to a fork to eCash, where eCash basically has dev rewards from each block. Zcash is also using that model. And you just have to compete against all the other projects which have VC money. They can create a token for DAO. They can create another token which brings out value and they can sell it, and etc. So there are so many different ways to fund in other projects, but Kaspa doesn't have that functionality because miners have selling pressure, which they have to uphold the costs from mining. So where exactly are the donations going to come from? Major L in my book to have a donation address in your own website, which is controlled by 4 developers, and with a multisig of 2. So only 2 have to sign it up to basically get approved, which is very suspicious to me. That's not very decentralized in my opinion, even though that is their goal. That is always the goal of these projects, which are always talking about the fair launch stuff. Now, in terms of yes, I do agree that proof of work is a lot better usually to go for decentralization than proof of stake. But the idea that when you're not a ASIC resistant blockchain, or DAG for that matter, the problem is all the ASIC machines, like 94%, are produced in China. They're sold by Chinese companies, and the remaining are from Taiwan. And GPUs are produced in Thailand or something. So fundamentally, when we are supporting the proof of work ecosystem, we are supporting China. At some point, the CCP can decide that they're going to be putting tracking devices on any ASIC machines. They can decide to basically patent them. There's many different ways that they have immense amount of control over the markets. All proof of work blockchains would basically get destroyed if ASIC machines were illegalized or something like that. So this is a fundamental problem that I usually have with chains that are supporting ASICs. But I do want to say that their actual model in terms of the hashing algorithm is draining less electricity than a lot of the other proof of work chains. So that's a plus, but it still doesn't necessarily build you a more decentralized system, especially now when Europe is having an electricity crisis, and then there are countries like Russia and China which have just such more cheaper electricity, and they can participate on this mining on a lot more larger scale than the West can, for example. So let's talk about briefly of the Kaspa's team, which by the way is very kosher. So we have the founder, obviously, which I already mentioned, Jonathan Sombolinski, which holds a position at Harvard. He seems to be very capable in cryptography, but doesn't seem to have much experience in crypto before this. And that is kind of the case with the rest of the core developers and researchers. They maybe have 1 or 2 projects max in their portfolio, but a couple of them, this was basically their first crypto adventure, basically, as a developer or as a researcher. There's a bunch of people obviously in the marketing team and in terms of development and listings. I don't know how they got the listing money for certain of these exchanges they are on. That's actually one of the bullish signals for Kaspa, is that it's not exactly yet on all the top exchanges like Binance and Coinbase, which potentially could increase its price if they would get listed there. And there's obviously a multitude of different community contributors obviously also in the team. So there is actual grassroots level in terms of influencers at least who are hyping out Kaspa, and then there are people who are building out the base stuff around Kaspa. But once the actual smart contract functionalities come from, I would expect that there should be a lot more developers on board after that, but remains to be seen. Will they be able to get these developers interested building on their chain versus EVM, where there's already much easier access for developers, and also they get much more grants and money. And now lastly, we are going to be focusing on the roadmap of Kaspa, what things they are trying to achieve on the space and what things they have stored in the future. So one of the more perhaps immediate updates that are listed on their website is the transition into the DAG Knight protocol. So basically upgrading their Ghost DAG protocol into this new one, which basically will be faster, more secure. It will be 50% Byzantine tolerant, and it's going to be doing a bunch of different types of upgrades basically. And this is currently on the development phase. I don't like the fact that there's no quarterly estimates on the roadmap when these things exactly are going to be shipped out. I think that's very important for any type of a serious project to have some type of estimation which year or which quarter they're going to be shipping out these things. So it might be probably earliest by next year, I guess, in terms of even getting into the testing phase for this protocol upgrade. But it probably won't have any impact actually on the tokenomics or anything like that. So I don't see it as a direct correlation to the price, for example. Other thing that they are currently testing out is the Rust language coding support. That actually is going to be bringing out a fair amount of probably new developers who could be potentially interested building out on Kaspa. So supporting multiple languages is always important for any type of blockchain. Another thing that is currently on testing phase is the mobile wallet, and I have to say this is a major L once again. I think you have to have a mobile wallet almost on launch of any project. The idea of having a project that doesn't have a mobile wallet in the current day is not going to be winning this race in any form. It's just like non-acceptable almost. This is like a absolute minimum bare standard for a crypto project to have a mobile wallet, browser wallet, and a core wallet. All those three should always exist. So this idea that the mobile wallet is not ready after 2 years is unacceptable in my opinion. And then there's going to be development about increasing the blocks per second, transactions per second. That is actually a pretty good thing. I don't know what exactly type of technology they're going to be using on that, but that's always a bonus, I guess, long as it doesn't come out on the price of decentralization a lot or forms of security. And then obviously there is a talk about on the most important factor, which is the smart contracts, because let's be honest about it. We have seen a lot of these proof of work coins and they talk about privacy, they talk about etc., etc. But smart contracts are essential in the modern day. You need them. You need them for decentralized trading, and just fundamentally, like, I can't take a project very seriously if they don't have any form of smart contract support or any type of bridge support, which could bridge the assets to DeFi, which they don't also have. And this is currently on the planning phase, so it's not on development, it's not on testing. So this is going to be coming out, I don't know in how many years, and that's the worrying part about this roadmap. Once again, there is no dates here. So it could be in 26, 27, and by that amount, already other blockchains have, advanced through, they have more money, they have more developers. So this idea of like developing so slowly, it's just not acceptable in any level, in my opinion. So the idea that you have to wait till 27 to get the smart contracts running, it's just going to be like the project is dead by that point, because the technology moves so fast in crypto. There's going to be more capable blockchains coming in on a yearly basis. So this idea of like not having estimated time for your smart contract launch or even your mobile wallet is not very good. I mean, here they also mention out that they're going to be supporting Ledger soon. I wish that they would probably focus on Treasure right now given all the drama. But fundamentally, like, the roadmap seems very slow. There's some promising things there. But even if all of those things that are listed on the roadmap right now, it wouldn't necessarily make it competitive against a lot of the other blockchains in the top 100 as of right now. So let's now jump into my final thoughts about Kaspa and my price prediction. So currently we are sitting at 4.5 cents per Kaspa, and that is not that far away from the all-time high that we saw 20 days ago, which was 5.3 cents per Kaspa. So we're 15% down, and I think that's not even that much in terms of like, are you going to be buying this coin and maybe writing back that 15%? I mean, you have to allocate quite a lot in order to get like significant returns. So I don't fundamentally think this is a very, very great entry point to buy Kaspa right now. And that is also because I think this project is fundamentally overvalued. This is definitely not a top 50 project. They don't have a mobile wallet ready. They don't have smart contracts ready. There's no massive retailers who are accepting Kaspa as of right now. There's a lot of like astroturfed hype for this project, which is coming from the YouTube community. I've seen a lot of people talk about it and some other people. So there's a lot of like this sort of a social media reach for this project, but that's not really like the fundamentals that really drive the price for the long term. So as I said, as we discussed already, like, it might be 2-3 years away until we get smart contracts, until we get this consensus upgrade and things like that. So I don't fundamentally think that Kaspa is really worth any of the valuation that it currently has. It might see like some crazy spike to 7 cents in the Q1 next year, and maybe it will see much growth in the next bull run. But I think for like seeing this coin from 4 years from now, definitely not. And proof of work community always has like a one darling coin that they introduce every cycle. Previously was Kadena, and now it is Kaspa, and then there will be another some weird named coin that will come around. And yes, Kaspa does have some proprietary technology, which we already discussed in the beginning of the video. But the thing is, that proprietary technology cannot really utilize anything like something that manifests in the actual chain. What type of a dApp can be built on Kaspa that cannot be built on Ethereum right now, for example? That is the question that the Kaspa community has to answer. And that's a fundamental problem here, that I don't see much of like potential here in terms of Kaspa. I think the tokenomics are kind of pit against you, the emissions. Yeah, they're there, but the supply is massive. The supply is massive. And also the technical ratings, by the way, on Coinbase are not, sorry, on CoinMarketCap are actually not that good. So I think there's a lot of empty hype for this project. I have a very small allocation of this coin in case it will keep piling up, but I think definitely it's already so high on the market cap that it has so little to grow. And also the trading volume for this coin is actually not that high. So there's a lot of things to consider in terms of investing Kaspa, and maybe even shorting it would be maybe the smart decision right now, but I'm not sure when exactly is the best time to short. Is it right now, or is it going to be keeping up this hype run till the next year, till the next bull run? I don't know that answer. But that's kind of my take on Kaspa and its capabilities. Here's all the exchanges where you can basically trade it. You can find those links down below in the description, among the other documentation that might be interesting about if you want to further research about Kaspa. Obviously, I want to hear your thoughts about the Kaspa. Do you hold any? Are you going to be planning to selling it or buying it more? Leave a comment down below, and I will be seeing you guys next time on the next video. Cheers.